Good afternoon, Liv. Nice to have you joining us today, and thank you very much for responding to my, random message. Just
Of
to ask
course.
whether you're available for this. So, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's a Saturday, so got a lion. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. Yeah, a bit of a panic situation encountered technically, but that's all under control now, so it's
Yeah.
all good. So, I obviously I've seen you on stage, amazing performance, at Charing Cross, and obviously you have recently won an award for. So, but we'll go into that a little bit later. But before we go into that, so can you just give us a little bit of an overview on what Ride the new musical supposedly, but it's not so new anymore, I guess. But
Yeah.
what's Ride all about?
You know what? I had such a hard time thinking about this question when you sent me the questions because I thought to myself, how do you summarize this show? Because it's so layered, and I think when you just introduce it as, oh, it's the true-ish story of Annie Londonderry, the first woman to cycle around the world, it kind of seems a bit like dusty and a bit serious, and it's so not that. It's so uh nuanced and funny. Like, it's so funny and it's so exciting and magical the way it sort of opens up as the story progresses, and it changes in tone. And like, I think it's so exciting, just two women on the stage, and the dynamic between them and how the power shift changes. And um that's not really explaining what it's about, but it's it's basically, we start with Annie. She's come to the New York World newspaper head office, and she thinks she's there to basically sign a contract to become their newest columnist. And then she's greeted with the news that actually, no, she's there to interview and to pitch herself to them. And she's a bit out of her depth, but she's not the sort of person who ever shows that. So she's like, okay, you know what, I'm not going to admit defeat. I'm going to reenact my whole story, my travels around the world, which are true-ish, as I said. And I'm going to get this job. And then she realizes, oh, you know what, I need help. So she basically just enlists this unassuming secretary who works in the office and is like, you're going to help me. And he's so interesting as a character. She's so messy and manipulative, but also so much fun to play, and so um just exciting for a woman to play a role like that, because those roles are so few and far between for women in musical theatre. So have I said what this show is about? I don't know. Have I said it? You know what? I'm going to list some themes. It's about identity. It's about the American dream. It's about female friendship. It's about what else is it about? What is it about? So much. All
Well, you
sets
tell
of
me. I mean,
great tunes. It's a joy. It's a joy of a show. I think it's such a gem of a show. Um, and it's so much more than what you think it's gonna be. Um, yeah.
yeah,
I'm not
I think that's a good overview. Don't worry about it, because obviously it has received critical acclaim, across the industry. So I don't think anyone's in any kind of doubt as to this is an amazing story. If you get a chance, go see it,
yeah.
kind of thing. So I think for kind of related to this, it's like you said, such an exciting opportunity and project that you worked on this. So how did you first hear about this project, and how did you get first involved?
So I actually auditioned for Ride in 2019 when it was going to the Vaults, and it was their first ever showing of it, and it was a much shorter version. And I saw I don't think I had an agent at the time. I hadn't trained yet. I saw it on Facebook. There was like an ad in one of these casting groups, and I just replied to the ad. They were like looking for Jewish actors to be a part of this show. Um, so I replied to the ad, and then I got an audition. And I was such a mouse back then. Like, I had zero confidence. I remember shaking in the audition. Like, I was like my face was shaking. And I sang like on the steps the Pound of the Woods, and another song from Next to Normal. Just like, they weren't showy songs, you know. I did not have the confidence to play Annie, and I remember they said they were considering me for both roles, but I read the breakdowns and I was like, oh no, I'm not an Annie. No, I'm a Martha for sure. So they saw me for Martha, and I was in the finals for Martha, and I just remember all of the Annies came in because they would switch us all around to read with each other, and all of the Annies were so larger than life, and like their presence, and I remember just being in absolute awe of these people, just like, oh my god, I want to be that, but I'm never gonna be that. I didn't get it, and I was gutted because I was like, oh my god, I can just tell this show is so special. So fast forward to 2022, I obviously trained, I sort of found myself and sort of who I am as a performer. I mean, I'm still figuring that out, but you know, and I'd heard that it was coming back on, and I had the opportunity to audition again, and I made sure that I was seen for Annie this time. I remember I emailed Freya and Jack, who wrote the show and the songs, and I was like, I need to be seen for Annie. This is my role. I am her. She is me. Please let me do this. And yeah, I went in all guns blazing, and I was like, this is it. So yeah, and then I got it, which was obviously amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, clearly things have changed dramatically in that case, based on what you just said between 2019 and 2022. So you touched upon Martha, actually. You know, for the audience that have not seen the show yet, who is Martha?
Martha is made up. Martha did not exist as far as we believe. No, she didn't exist. She didn't exist. But she is she did not exist. But she's basically she works in the office, and she is someone who she comes from sort of middle class upbringing. She has lived a very sort of sheltered life, and sort of you know, she's a secretary. She, you know, she's sort of just, I guess, taken the route that most women at that time took if they had the access to jobs like that. That's very much like they would just be a secretary, and that was all that was kind of afforded to them. And then she meets Annie, and it's kind of like a wake-up call of like, oh, I can be so much more. And I think Martha is so interesting as a character because the way she just sort of opens up, and she, you know, initially is so not into it and terrified, and the way she just transforms in front of you, and she ends up, you know, being all these different people. I mean, you know, Yuki was amazing. You have to be so versatile to play that role, and funny, and like I mentioned before, the power shift, that was what was so interesting to me, and I really wanted to hone in on that, the fact that like it starts off very much that Annie's in control, and then as it goes on it flips. Yeah, great character. The show is got two great characters.
Well, I mean, there are only two characters as well,
but
both of them fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say no, just for the audience as well, you know, who's watching this, Yuki also absolutely phenomenal as an actress. So, you know, yeah, I mean, definitely another performer to watch out for as well. So it sounds like you had a lot of fun and, well, a lot of, you know, challenges as well on this show. So what would you say is what's your overall experience of this, and what do you feel is a highlight of the entire experience?
I mean, honestly, it's gonna sound so lame, but like playing Annie, that was the highlight. It was so empowering. Like I would get off that stage, I'd just be like, oh my god, I'm so high on life. Like I mentioned before, she's a feast of a role for an actor. Like there was so much to play with, and also the fact on top of that she was so there were so many things about her that I could relate to, you know, and that's so rare. Like this 5'0" Eastern European Jewish woman, like it was so much that, you know, I could draw on my own experiences, but then I could also play at being this like absolute icon as well. Like it was so much fun, and so rewarding, and the team were also talented and committed to making it the best it could be, and it was just, you know, it was a joy. It was amazing. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure all of the well, I mean, you already mentioned, and obviously, the writers and the lyricists from this are absolutely amazing to come up with this piece of work as well. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely phenomenal. And I think Charing Cross is such a nice kind of space for
Yeah.
this show as well. So, I think everything just seems to come together, perfectly. So no, flipping on the other side then. So what did you think were the challenges associated with this show, and how did you what kind of things did you do to overcome them? Assuming there are any, obviously.
I mean, there were things that sort of, the fact that it was new writing, and obviously it's had two other ventures before, but this was its first full length kind of showing. So, it wasn't a challenge, but it was a lot of it was about discovery and sort of finding who these characters were and how the best way to put it on. So, it was challenging, but everyone was so open to ideas and imaginative that I think it was never sort of, oh, what's it going to be like? I knew from the first minute I read the script, I was like, this is going to be sick, and I mean, for me personally, obviously the Bostonian accent was a challenge. Also the bicycle, I have to talk about the bicycle. We did not find a bicycle that fit me until I think a couple of days before we opened. Like in rehearsals, it was terrifying. They would bring in these because they really wanted to get me an authentic bicycle, Victorian bicycle. And there's a part in the show where Annie says she was using a man's bicycle, right? Because women weren't really allowed bicycles, they were all for men. The men's bicycle, I don't know what bicycle she was using, right? She's my height. I don't know what's my height, the bicycles do not fit me. They are enormous, and they would wheel these things in, and I'm like, I can't get on this. And I try and ride it, and it was so embarrassing. It looked like I couldn't ride a bike, and I can ride a bike. And so it wasn't until a couple of days before that they found one. They managed to source one of the rare women's bicycles of the time, and I got to use that. So that was what else? Magic tricks. I don't want to go into too much about the magic tricks because we don't want to, ruin it, but there's lots of magic tricks, and there were lots of magic calls with this I mean, he is a magician, magic coordinator, I guess, illusionist, that's the term, would come in, and he was very nice and very patient with me, but it took me a while to get used to the magic tricks. And also there's a song called Everybody Loves a Lie, where I had to say this monologue in the middle of the song, and Tash Harrison, who was our movement coordinator, had the brilliant idea that I should dance. There's like a dance break over the monologue, and of course, like, it paid off in the end. I had so many people come up to me and say that was my favorite part of the show. But oh my God, like, I can move, but I'm not a dancer. I'm not a dancer. Yuki's a much better dancer than I am, and it took me a long time. I mean, if you're singing and you've got like the beat, it's much easier to remember the moves. But when you're just talking, like, I had to find a rhythm within the monologue in order to sort of like remember the moves and get it in my body. It was so hard. And Tash was like, I know you can do it. And I was like, I know I can do it. But it was so difficult. That was probably the hardest thing, probably, getting
Wow,
that.
sounds like there are
Yeah.
sounds like there are a couple of very challenging elements. Both, I mean, surprising, both of them are kind of movement related, actually, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised for you to say that actually they couldn't find a bike your size, because this is what I actually never even thought about this. The bicycle that they use actually look fairly retro, and it didn't even occur to me that, well, actually, maybe they don't have that in a huge variety of sizes.
They had to like break the seats and make it lower and like re-weld it on and stuff. And I was just like, why are there no bicycles for small women? Why don't they exist? Yeah.
They didn't ride back then. So, that's probably the only reason. I mean, I'm surprised that they do eventually manage to find one, and that they're able to modify as well. So going on a little bit, obviously you've had a few challenges, with the role that you played, and obviously, had, I mean, also at the same time, a huge amount of fun with it. So did you think that, through your I mean, you mentioned your training a little bit earlier. So did you feel that the training itself has prepared you for this, or as the life of an actor, really?
Yes and no. So I only did a 1 year course, and it was during the pandemic. So half of it was on Zoom. Um, I mean, obviously, I developed hugely from training. My voice developed, my ability to just stand on a stage and like be still and not be scared to be still, because I'm very like usually quite sort of, I used to be very flappy, and I sort of learned how to sort of like, command, I guess. I learned lots of things while training. I met incredible people. But I definitely think that most of what prepared me for this role in particular was it sort of came after I left. I didn't know that I was, doing those things in theory, yeah, but actually when you're doing it in practice, that's when you really learn and you really understand, oh God, yeah, I can do this. I mean, there was so much pressure. Like Annie's on the stage the entire time. She doesn't leave. And it's the sort of thing, you don't know you can do it until you do it. And it wasn't until I was very much thrown in the deep end. My first job out of RAM was Little Women at the park. I was in for Joe, and I wanted it so badly, like so badly. And then I didn't get it. And then they offered me the swing. They offered me to cover all 4 March sisters. And I was, I jumped at it because I was like, I will do anything to be a part of this show. This is it. I'm so glad I did it. It was probably one of the hardest jobs I've ever done, ever. It was insane. I didn't get any rehearsals. And I know there was so much of just sort of watching on the sidelines, trying to sort of mimic, and it was intense. It was really intense, really, really hard. But it wasn't until I, got to go on. I played Joe once. I got to go on to play Joe. I had 3 hours notice. I got on that stage. I had no idea what it was going to be like. I very much was like, I could fall flat on my face and this could be the worst thing that ever happens to me, but I put in the work and I'd done the prep, and it was all still there. And so it's sort of learning to trust yourself. Like, yeah, the words are going to come out. Like you watched these performers do this thing again and again and again. The moves are in your head, right? You can do it. And that was like a massive wake up call, and like just the feeling of like carrying a show, the burden of that, the fact that like all of these people are paying to see you and this whole team are depending on you, like that is immense pressure. And yeah, I got to do it once, and it was sort of like okay, I'm capable, that's fine. So then when Annie came around, I wasn't as scared. And I just sort of got down to work. I did the job. Yeah, but I think training is something that it's like a bubble. It's like a bubble, and it's so you get very comfortable. I mean, you do and you don't. It's hard. Training is hard. They break you down, but it's like a bubble, and you have this solid routine. And I think once you leave, it's scary. It's like, oh my God, you're in the real world. There are so many ups and downs, and the constant worry of when's the next job coming, the rejection. It's a lot, and it's not for everyone. And it's tough because I see my friends who are so talented, and they're just like, I don't think it's for me. So yeah, and I don't think training really prepares you for that. I will say that that's something that was like a big shock,
Yeah, no, I get the constant I guess the insecurity, I guess, isn't it? That comes with this type of job. That, for example, I can never do this. I can never. I just I just can't do it. I mean, like, I
Yeah,
would drive me insane. So yeah, I
yeah.
completely agree with what you said. So if you have to give any kind of piece of advice to anyone, students or anyone in training at the moment, what do you think you would say to them?
Uh, I think just be nice. Be nice to people. It's nice. It's easy to be nice. You don't need to be a dick. I think a lot of young people, but like just I think people who are starting out and you don't really understand quite what it means to be professional. Yeah, it's something you really learn on the job. So it's very hard to say that, because it's like people, you just don't get it until you're doing it. And it's like, I think just showing up on time, being engaged, being committed, doing the work. Like, people remember if you're not nice to work with. People remember if you have an attitude, and it's just not worth it, because you run into all the people you meet all the time. So yeah, I think that is the most important thing. And I think, honestly, talent can only get you so far. People want to work with people they like, ultimately. And I also think, don't put so much pressure on yourself to sort of be the perfect performer, I guess, while training. Not the perfect performer, but don't put pressure on yourself to know exactly what you want to do and who you are and what suits you best. Because I really learn. I'm still learning, but I've learned so much more about what I want to do and who I am after leaving. I mean, like at RAM, I was terrified of belting. I had this complex, this like absolute fear that my voice was going to crack if I belted. So I just never belted. And I was always singing these like lyrical soprano pieces. And so I was always given the sort of ingenue soprano roles. And that's what I thought I could do. I thought that was my lot. Not that that's a bad thing. That's, there are lots of gorgeous roles, but, I thought that was my thing. And it wasn't until I left and I auditioned for Joe that I was like, this feels good. And now, 80% I would say of my rep folder is like belty Barbara numbers. So you you learn so much more about yourself when you leave, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So you do, yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
guess
But then
when after during your training and afterwards, if you I guess it's very common what a lot of people refer to as somebody being typecasted, isn't it? Like being able to
yeah.
do one thing. So I guess the wider your repertoire is and the wider the variety of things you do, it actually it potentially can bring more opportunities and more excitement.
Yeah, exactly. But then it's sort of, it's difficult, because then I can so see why sometimes it's good to almost pigeonhole yourself in a way initially, because it means that, like, casting directors, if a job comes up that's, you've played something similar before, they'll be like, oh, she can do that, or he can do that, or they can do that. It's sometimes good to do that initially, just so you stick in people's minds as being good at something. And then obviously later you don't want to just be doing those same roles. So it's like how you get out of that. But yeah,
Yeah, it's a learning process,
learning curve all the time. Yeah.
I mean, but clearly building on that, clearly you've learned enough so far to actually earn you a Off West End and Offie's nomination, and then going on to win it. So when you first heard about the nomination, how did you feel about it? What kind of emotions went through your head?
I mean, it came kind of at the same time as all the reviews came in, which, oh my goodness, I'd never been reviewed before. That was horrible. The waiting for them to come in. I remember I said to my mum, I was like, you look at them, just show me the nice ones. I don't want to see any mean ones. I'm terrified. Honestly, I mean, the idea that like people are like talking about what you like, your work, like, and you've poured your heart and soul into it. Oh, but thank God it was well received, and I'm so grateful to all the people and you, for giving me such wonderful, lovely reviews. I will literally treasure them forever. but yeah, the nomination came through when that was happening, when I was doing the run. So I was like, I don't know, I remember I just found out, and then I went on stage and I sort of used it before I went on. I was like, you are a Offie nominated actor, you can do this, you know, because I would sort of be backstage picking myself up, like, come on, you are big and you are brave, and you know, all the things that Annie is, just to sort of get myself in the zone. It was lovely. It was such a wonderful, lovely surprise. And the fact that both of us were nominated was, you know, a lot of our team were nominated. It was incredible. It was so nice to have that kind of what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Oh no, what is the word I'm looking for? Not approval. No, that's not what I'm looking for.
Acknowledgement?
No, that's not the word. But yes, great. Yes.
Okay. Maybe something a bit more than acknowledgement.
There's a word.
Appreciation. I don't know, like something along those lines.
Whatever. Taking up time. Anyway, and then the when I won, I mean, that so much time had passed that, like, and I hadn't watched the live stream, not the live stream. What's it called? The filmed recording. I hadn't watched the recording, so I sort of forgot what it was in a way. Like, when you're not doing it, it's sort of like, it's this other thing that was back there, and I'm like, I have no idea. And it was such an incredible category of people who were nominated alongside me, and it was kind of like, well, I don't know, like, I couldn't gauge which way it was going to go, and I was also the youngest, and I was like, I don't, you know. And I was sitting there, and I remember I was in the middle of the row, and I just thought to myself, oh God, if I win, I'm gonna have to climb over all these people, and that's going to be so awkward. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to win. Of course I'm not going to win. And I really did not think I was going to win. And I know everyone says that, and I'm not trying to be faux, like, modest. I really did not think I was going to win. I wrote my speech in the car on the way there, because I remember I was with my mum, and she was like, you're going to look like an idiot if you get up there and you don't have anything to say, right? And I'm the type of person who just rambles on and on, as you can tell from this interview. So yeah, I wrote a little speech in the car, and thank God I did, because I got up there, tripped up the stairs, of course, and then yeah, whipped my phone out, and it was like, oh, so I'm gonna thank these people. But yeah, it was lovely, and the fact that Yuki won too, and it was so nice. It was so nice.
Yeah, I saw the photo of you, the both of you together afterwards. It's such a lovely and adorable picture with the both of you. So yeah, you know, I mean, so well deserved. Absolutely, you know, I think, you know, I know you said that you were absolutely bricking it, you know, waiting for the reviews to come in, but I think it is one of the first times that, you know, that you don't really see anything that's less than, you know, less than excellent, you know, from what I've seen so far on the media. And it was one of the things that there's no split opinion. There was just no such thing, really. It seems like such for this show, so which is absolutely amazing to see. So much positivity that and you know, from the community about this. So obviously, you know, that is kind of a wrap, you know, on Ride and your experience on that. But, you know, obviously there's a little bit more of that, and we'll touch on that a little bit later on. So can you disclose anything on what you are currently working on, and whether there's anything you can share with the viewers?
I can't talk about it. Hopefully I should be doing a really lovely project just before I go back into Ride. I can't really say anything around it. I'm in the process for a number of lovely things. So fingers crossed one of them sticks. But that's, you know, that's the life of an actor. It's just constant, like, you know, I was in the process for something that would have been wonderful. I was in the final two for it, and I was like, come on. And I was hoping I could talk about it, and then I didn't get it. So, you know, we move. But yeah, I'm hoping I'm going to be doing this other thing, which is amazing. The script is so cool. It's so cool. So yeah, that's all I can say. But going back to Ride, of course. So,
I mean, yeah, okay, we're not going to dig any further on that, because clearly you can't talk very much about that. But best of luck with whatever it is that you're going to do. I'm sure that we'll hear all about it as when it comes out, and, you know, there's probably like a flurry of fans, you know, that's right behind you as well. So we're all looking forward to that. So okay, let's go back to Ride then. So obviously, it was announced fairly recently. I can't remember when it was exactly that came out now. Obviously, now that Ride is going to the Leicester Turf. Anything you can say about that?
They will be announcing more soon. Where else it's going? It's going to another place. But I don't think I can say where yet, but because they haven't announced it, so I don't know. But yeah, it's coming back, and apparently it's going to be bigger and better and more magical, and there's going to be more cycling apparently, and more dancing. I was told to go to dancing lessons. So oh God.
Well, let's hope that they've got a bike ready for you this time. Maybe just reuse the old one. I don't know.
Just reuse that one. We hope, because by the end of that, I was like, "Oh, this is my bike. Like, I'm so comfortable on this thing." And that bit at the end where I ride into the audience, you know what I mean? I was like, "Oh, that was my best moment. That was my favorite." So yeah. God. Yeah.
Okay, but basically, all we're saying is it's going to be bigger, it's going to be more glam, it's going to be more, well, potentially more bikes, we don't know. And definitely more dancing. Essentially, that is what we're expecting.
Yes. And I
I will look out for that. So, I am very hoping to get myself to Leicester when that opens. So I shall.
You might not need to.
Oh, okay. Oh God. Okay. I don't know. Okay, maybe you're giving far too much away now. So let's
cut that bit. Oh God.
Okay, I don't think that was too much. I mean, nobody knows where I live anyway. So for the all thing that I could be based in, I don't know, Edinburgh or something. So which I'm not. But okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Liv. So I think that is a huge amount of excitement that you have spread in this interview today. I hope the viewers enjoyed this little chat. Very informal. With Liv, the Office, best performing actor. So yeah, thank you very much, Liv, and hopefully we'll see you on stage again very soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you.